You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at A Noise Within for their presentation of Mrs. Warren's Profession by George Bernard Shaw.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Judith Scott. We just had our opening night here at A Noise Within, and I'm playing Kitty Warren, the lead character of Mrs. Warren's Profession, which is written by George Bernard Shaw. And we're open. Come see us.
what's your take on Kitty?
I think, my version of her is that she is an incredible, she's the Oprah Winfrey of prostitution. That's how I describe her. And not that Oprah's a prostitute, but just the hard work and the amount of power that she has. And that she feels like the world is hers.
I loved your character because basically I'm a big fan of anti-heroes, but this was a strong woman. She had her flaws, and definitely had her flaws, but again also had her really good points too. What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, I don't know, man. That's a lot. I don't even think of her as an anti-hero. You know, that's sort of an academic perception. I have to think of her as a woman who has brought herself up and earned a certain status in the world, and she is quite proud of what she does. She's not ashamed. She's unapologetic about what she does.
I love the way you played the character. I loved your voice. You just had command to it. You're like I am. Do not take me lightly. Or you are my daughter. You just were matronly, but at the same time, you were human. You were honest. At times, you were vulnerable, telling your daughter you loved her. So again, broad range. I love the way you played it. You were so moving, so realistic.
Thank you a lot. I appreciate that. I love hearing that. We work in Crucible, as actors, and then it opens and you don't know what you have until you get on stage, So when people respond the way they're responding tonight, it's just an affirmation that all any performer has is their work, and that's it. I don't do it for glory. I do it for the work, for the writers.
Definitely an artist. I could tell when you're up there, you're portraying your art. Because you would think, hey, why don't you get an English lady? Why don't you get someone old? But no, you just nailed the character. I felt the strength in it. I just felt so much realism in you. Once again, I really loved it. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Michael McKetty, director of Mrs. Warren's Profession.
Question, what do you like so much about this story?
I think it's such a shockingly modern story for a play written 124 years ago. The message that it has about how women are undervalued in society, not given the same opportunities that men are, and yet criticized when they make choices that are strong, is still a message that we need to hear today. And I think it's just so incredibly modern. Shaw was a proto-feminist before that was even a thing, and I love that this play still feels so modern.
I agree. Actually, again, I was thinking a lot about that because, on the internet, you're hearing a lot of stories about women in show business, how they're being abused or being taken advantage of. And this is kind of the type of story that I think kind of speaks to that.
Absolutely. And, I think it speaks a lot as well to the double standard that we have. The world is set up for men to have success in this world. When women try to take that same success, they're criticized for it. They're criticized for the kind of choices they make, even though they're undermined. And there's a double standard that still exists.
I loved your cast. Basically, I love their accents. I love the Cockney, the mother with the Cockney accent, and the rest of them having more polished speech.
Yeah, we have a wonderful accent coach, Nikki Dukas, who guided with the accents. And as you pointed out, it's really interesting because Kitty Warren speaks most of the play with a fairly standard British accent, but when she gets angry and when she begins talking about her past, the Cockney sneaks out. And it's a really smart thing. It's actually in Shaw's script that is performed that way. And no question, Judith does it beautifully.
Question, what do you look for in your casting?
Well, I look for a lot of things. In this case, I wanted us to be able to see the modernity of the treatment and yet people who would still use the language really richly. And so these were all cast members who I felt could give it a very modern spin while still playing the truth of the British setting and the period setting and those things. It was also important to me because I wanted people to see the play through a very modern lens, and of course in Shaw's time this play would have been cast with all white actors, and I thought that by casting many actors of color we would both remind the audience that this is a modern production of a period play and also draw some parallels to how people of color are also not always given the same opportunities that white people are.
Once again, I really love the piece. First of all, it was, again, a classic. So again, millions of people have seen it, so those million people can't be wrong. So the story was excellent, but also I love the actors that you put with them. They each have their own meter, their own voice, and their own mannerism. They really fleshed out their characters a lot, and I also enjoyed. I just enjoyed it at this time because again, it was a time where right now you're a little depressed about Hollywood, about it's about men in power, women. Some women are being abused, and actually some women are being blamed.
That's right.
How can you be blamed for something? But they are being blamed nowadays.
That's right. There's too much shaming of people who are actually victims in the world, and that needs to change.
Yeah. Once again, a really powerful feminine character. I really liked it a lot, and I also really enjoyed your direction tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Julia Rodriguez-Elliott, and I'm the producing artistic director of A Noise Within.
So question, why did you guys decide to do this piece?
Well, the theme of the season is entertaining courage, and part of what we were looking at is characters who take a stand and try to change the world around them. Looking at a time right now that politically, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, everybody's feeling a great deal of angst and there's a sense of what can we do. And so we started looking at plays where characters take a stand and change the course of their own personal lives, or change the course of a community, or affect change in some way. And so this is a beautiful play in that way, in terms of Vivi and also her mother's courage in terms of creating a life for her daughter, and so it just seemed to be a perfect fit within the context of that theme. Yeah.
I love the piece. I particularly like Shaw because he's a feminist, and he always tries to empower women. And back then, women really need empowering.
Exactly, and he wrote real women, and he wrote them really well. So as a woman, these characters are so relatable. Plus, it's a timeless mother-daughter story. It really is when it comes down to it, and that is the part that I think, along with the political, that was really most interesting to us, because it raises a lot of questions. So he doesn't give us a lot of answers, but certainly you leave the theater looking at both perspectives and both points of view, both of them legitimate. And depending on who you are and where you come from, you might see it differently. Yeah.
I've just been feeling a lot from reading the internet how showbiz, how Hollywood is kind of abusing women, taking advantage of them. It reminded me a little bit in this show where there was actually an industry that was kind of taking advantage of women. And what are your thoughts on that right now?
Well, I think when these things come to the surface, I hope that there's a positive change that happens, because it's no longer something that's happening behind closed doors, but it's out in the open, and people are taking a stand. So I have to believe that there's going to be positive change. At least that's the hope.
I was told basically if women have a voice in the industry, if they themselves just say, well, this is what's happening, we just don't like it, let's change it, I think that would help a lot.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that happening now.
And I hope there are more pieces like Shaw where women have a leading role, where they have a voice, where they're indispensable, and they're more, I guess, there are more awards for them.
Absolutely, yeah, good old Shaw. That's why it's a classic.
I really love the piece. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Erica Soto. Well, I am a really fortunate RA at a Noise Within theater company, and we are here at opening night of Mrs. Warren's Profession. And I play Vivi Warren. Well, she's a very strong and intelligent woman who is really adamant about making her own way, being independent, but sometimes her strength and her self-possession gets in the way of her relationships, especially with her mother.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, they should expect to see a really a character-driven story, really strong characters, and a really volatile relationship between mother and daughter, and what happens when those two personalities come to a head.
Yeah, this piece was very strong. It was female-led. It actually showed the feminism in George Bernard Shaw.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why we really love the show, because it was written so long ago, but the themes and the storyline is so relevant to women today. So I think that, especially in our political and social climate, people are really going to enjoy seeing this story on the stage.
Yeah, I was really thinking about this because all over the internet you hear how women in show business are being abused now. And again, it's kind of like, you feel like, what is this? Is this the 1800s right now? Where women don't have a voice in anything? Or what is it? Men are really can really do this?
Yeah, well, and the beauty about this production is not only were there strong women as leads in the play, but our entire crew and staff it's mostly female. We had a female stage manager, a female composer, female scenic and costume designers. All of it was very, very strong female-led.
I love the voice everyone had, the English accents. Because in classical theater, sometimes it drones on. Unless it's done really well, then it's kind of like a chorus. You can just sit back and listen to the music.
Yeah, it's very musical. We worked with a really great dialect coach, and she helped us develop the musicality and the pronunciation, and really helped us create a character of the language in and of itself. Yeah.
Once again, I really liked the performance. I loved you in it. There was a lot of command in you, a lot of force in you, but at the same time, again, you can see a lot of feminism. It wasn't like some woman playing a man. No. I could really see the feminine side of it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it really layers what makes women, which is our strength and our vulnerability and our determination to live our own lives.
Okay. Once again, I really love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jeremy Rabb. I'm a resident artist in the Noise Within. I've been working at the theater for about 8 years. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I came out to Los Angeles in 2005.
Great, and which character did you play tonight?
I played Sir George Crofts, who is the business partner of Mrs. Warren, and is a very capitalistic gentleman, very pro-capitalism in all of its glory.
Yeah, what's your take on George?
Well, I think it's easy to think of him as a villain because he's clearly representative of a lot of the negativity involved with capitalism. But as an actor, the job is to say, okay, let me pretend I see the world through his eyes. I see the world through someone who thinks, money's money. You've got to make a living. People are going to suffer, and that's the way life goes. So even though I, Jeremy, don't like him as a person, I can allow my imagination to let me crawl into his skin briefly, and it's a fun challenge.
I enjoyed your character a lot because, again, first of all, this is a classical piece. The classical pieces are either murderers or they're insane or they're just heroes. This character actually had real depth in him. He's like a modern guy who would say, "What am I doing wrong? I mean, someone else would do it. I'm just making money. What's wrong with that?" That's it. That was him.
That's exactly right, and that's what I think makes Shaw so brilliant. Is he doesn't make these one-dimensional characters. Clearly, he has an opinion about him, but he's like, you know what? I want to fill this guy out. I want him to be three-dimensional, and he does that. He gives capitalism and the sort of oppression that sometimes comes from it, he gives that character's voice reason. You follow why he's come to that. So it's not just some, easy to hate guy. You get where he's coming from, and I think that depth is what makes Shaw so brilliant.
Basically, this piece was it was comedy. I guess it was kind of a political comedy. Also, it wasn't dark. It was actually very light, but it was a classical piece. So, where would you put this piece?
That's a great question. It is unique because it is clearly a comedy for much of it, but it ends with this incredibly devastating, serious moment. It's hard to really characterize, and the fact that it was written in the late 19th century, that Shaw would be so far ahead of his time to be able to capture something so profound. I mean, it was banned initially. People didn't know how he could possibly write about this. But as you say, it is a comedy, but at the same time, it has very serious messages, and it's not just about her profession. It's about the relationships between a mother and a daughter, and the difficulty of sort of understanding where other people are coming from, and the notion of feminism, and following your own path. It just is so much going for it. It's a pretty remarkable piece.
I love the performance. I loved your performance. You stepped right into the character. I thought you were wonderful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. I love playing it, and I feel very lucky to be able to be George Crofts. It's very fun.
Yeah. Thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Adam Faison. I think we were talking a little bit about this play before we opened this tonight, and we were talking with the director, and it's just kind of wild how timely this story is, and these elements are to this story, and it still even stands like 125 years later. This play is a really strong play about two strong females who come to a sort of clash of wills, and it's really sort of a beautiful play that stands up even today. Yeah.
So which character do you play?
I play Frank.
So what's your take on him? Is he just a gigolo, or is he devil-may-care? What are your thoughts on him?
I don't know. With Frank, you kind of have to try to empathize with the character. And if I saw him as just sort of a gigolo, I don't think I'd probably get many places with him. But I feel like he's a little bit sort of, he grew up with a lot of sisters and, no other guys in the family except for himself. So he's a little bit full of himself in that sense. He's kind of used to being the only guy in the family. So he's really good with women. So, he kind of uses that to his advantage. And I guess you could call him a little bit of a gigolo because of that. I enjoy him. He's kind of a fun one because he's very far from me. But it's kind of fun to find the dissimilarities and find out how to sort of make them my own. Yeah.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I think you should expect to see two very strong female characters who are very witty, very smart, and very driven in what they want from life. And I think that you should expect to laugh a lot and to also maybe cry a little bit because it goes through a real emotional journey. And the director always said it's funny till it's not. And I think that's really true because this play, it starts off in sort of a very light direction, and it actually touches on then some real themes that people think about even today. So, yeah.
I really liked your meters, the way you guys broke into your English accents, and actually the way it carried the entire piece. Because classical pieces can sometimes drone on a little bit. Yes. But you guys played really well.
Yeah, you know, we really tried to bring a modern aspect to that accent and then the characters and everything like that, because sometimes it can feel a little trite to put on the accent and feel like it's a little too highbrow. But we were really encouraged throughout the process by Michael to make sure that we brought a modern life to each of the characters, and I feel like it was really fun because he let me kind of play with bringing my own sort of character into this sort of classic British play.
Yeah, I really loved your character because again, it brought a bit of devil-may character things. You know, it was a serious topic, but then again, you lightened it up.
You lightened it.
Exactly. You made it more of a romance, more of a comedy. You felt really good at the end.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I mean, yes, it sort of ends up in a little bit of an unresolved place, but I hope that, you know, we at least brought a little bit of the lightness to it. And Shaw, I mean, it's all due to his writing. It's amazing. So, yeah.
Once again, I really loved the piece. I loved you in it.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Mrs. Warren's Profession by George Bernard Shaw will be playing at A Noise Within from October 8th to November 18th. For more information, go to www.anoisewithin.org. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location with Rogue Artist Ensemble for their presentation of Kana Project Walls Grow Thin.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jasmine Orpila. I am a performance artist. I am a musician and composer, and for this particular project, I'm a paranormal consultant, and I also play the lead character of Kana. My take on Kana is that she is an expert on the inner demons.
Question, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
You should expect to see multiple worlds colliding through the, through the lens of various forms of performance art in the name of theater, puppetry, immersive theater, a little taste of escape room. However, there's also a lot of intimacy within all of the stories that we share, and the yokai, Japanese supernatural, and a lot of exploration of what spirit is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed myself. Actually, I saw your version of Kana, and I really enjoyed your performance. I thought you were quite good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, throughout the theme, there actually is a bit of a theme in it. I noticed a lot of how should I say, abuse, female abuse, and with what's going on in the news today about you know what's going on in Hollywood, it seems to be a theme. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, those themes that you mentioned have existed for, unfortunately, a very, very long time. Many of the stories that we share actually are based on experiences that precede the current events at the moment, which are now coming to light. And we all hit upon the concept of vengeance. And my take on misogyny in general is this female perspective of what vengeance is and what it means to go to the level of the predators. You know, a fox, by the way, for this show, Kitsune, the fox, it's both prey and predator. And so there are these moments where it flips. And so for anybody who is victimized, those are the two choices that you find yourself between. And what I personally interpret for the character is that there's a gray area as well in between, where it's not this binary black and white choice, good and evil. And it's colored with a lot more than that. So if you take upon yourself just strict anger and vengeance to just get back to, get back at the predators, then that takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your being. And that for me, it's not a balance that we should go for. It's just not right. It's further injustice towards the victim. So that's what I see happening in this show. It's bringing to light the fact that when somebody is attacked in that way, when women are put in that position, we're at such a low common denominator with regards to how we look at misogyny, is that there's only this black and white thing. You join them, you're with them, you're against them. And there's got to be a deeper way to look at things.
So, question. I've asked this to actresses before. You know, sometimes this business doesn't have sometimes there aren't some very nice guys in this business. And I asked the person, you know, what should they do? And they said, you should always try to protect your soul, which I thought was kind of spiritual, kind of scary and all that. What does that mean to you? If you're in this business of show business, if you're trying to succeed, but you have to try to protect your soul. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's an easy one. It means you don't sell out. You feel it. Okay, you're talking to somebody who works, like, I work as a professional intuitive, so for me it's just a no-brainer to not follow your guts, to not follow your intuition, to not follow, you know, what you know as the truth inside of you. And for me, I don't even doubt that for a second. It might be different for somebody else who hasn't yet found that core of themselves, and they don't know what it feels like. You know, they're not grounded in that yet, and so they're easily prey to those situations. And it takes, unfortunately, some experience to feel what that truth is inside. And that goes for both men and women. It goes for anybody. When you learn yourself, and when you learn what you can call soul, you can call your center, you can call who you are. You know, when you really know who you are, you're not going to be in those positions. I have not had those experiences, fortunately.
You know, I've been on the internet researching this, and basically I've seen some very famous people who are saying things. You know, Angela Jolie. I mean, people like, you know, stars. People you never think would be vulnerable to something like this, but they did. Now, question, if you actually were in their situation and you actually did do something you kind of regret, what then? What do you do then?
Again, for me, I will answer that in the context of, like, if that would be like a character thing. I don't think I would put myself in that position, quite frankly. As I mentioned earlier, I know myself so well, it's a no-brainer that I would not be in that position. I've been in the business for a very long time. I'm very confident in myself and where I put myself on my own path. So it's kind of weird to answer that question.
Well, once again, I really enjoyed the performance. I thought it was kind of scary, kind of creepy, and again, an experience that you don't see everywhere. So again, if you want to get an experience like this, a really Halloween type experience, a really spiritual experience, this is a really good place to come.
True, I agree. I'm so glad you can share this with everybody.
And again, once again, I really enjoyed your performance. Thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with...
Hello, Sean Qualty. I'm the Artistic Director of Rogue Artists Ensemble, and this is Kite On Project. I'm the director and puppet designer for the production.
And so question, what made you guys decide to do something like this?
Well, we're an organization that's very interested in stories that incorporate lots of different traditions, storytelling traditions, puppetry, mask. We've been very drawn to a lot of the traditions in Japan, and specifically stories that have to do with shape-shifting and animals that are transforming to become different creatures and humans. So for many, many years we've been researching this project and developing it, and it's now premiering tonight.
What do you really like about the story?
The story, well, it's a story that I think is something we can all relate to. I think everybody has some sense of duality in their lives, and I think this particular story of a woman who is struggling with her own duality is absolutely a story for all, and really gets at the core of what it is to be a complex individual, and to be facing who you are and what you are, and to find that truth.
You know, with what's going on in the news right now in show business and all that, I see there's a lot of talk about abuse, female abuse. Yeah. I saw a lot of abuse in this show.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the stories that the production was inspired by have to do with positions of power, and many of them tell a story of women and of women being put into a position where they may not have control or may not have power. And so it's complicated storytelling for sure, but also very topical in a lot of ways. One of the things we've done throughout the process is worked on balancing out that level of how women are treated, what the role women have in this production, and it's what you've seen tonight.
Also, like your cast, I thought they did a very good job. Yeah. What do you look for in your casting?
Oh my gosh! In casting, we look for artists that are fearless. We look for artists that are able to take risks, that are physical performers, that are performers that connect text and body, that aren't afraid of creating a production using puppetry and mask and storytelling traditions that are maybe not often pursued here in the United States as much.
Well, seeing as you have so much experience in show business, with the themes that are going on right now about abuse and women and all that, what's your advice? What kind of advice can you give to a young lady who actually is facing some problems with Hollywood?
Oh my gosh, that's a huge question. I think anyone that is ever put in a position where they may not feel like they have a voice, I think it's important for them to find a way to have that voice heard. And I think that's regardless of what gender or how you identify, it's important to make sure that your voice is heard and that you're making that a priority. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the performance tonight. I thought it was very appropriate for Halloween. Something I would definitely go to, and I encourage all my listeners to go to that also.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And, I'm a UCI graduate myself, so zot.
Yeah, once again, I love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for coming again. Thank you for being here.
Kana Project, Walls Grow Thin, will be playing at Rogue Artists Ensemble from October 5th to November 5th. For more information, go to www.eastwestplayers.org or www.rogueartist.org.